Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host, coming to you from the Hawkeye State, home of your Iowa Hawkeyes, the 2021 Big Ten West champs. Again, could be the worst 10-2 team I've ever seen, but hey, you are what your record says you are, like Bill Parcells used to say. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked this, but I'm pretty sure Michigan is a favorite in that Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis this week. But here's the beautiful thing. A week ago, I really didn't think Iowa was even going to be there. I don't think anybody in Iowa was like, yeah, let's make some hotel reservations in Indianapolis for the second weekend or the first weekend in December. So it's like found money, right? Because Iowa has, literally nothing to lose. Like, the last time they lost in the Big Ten championship game, they played in the Rose Bowl after that. So Michigan really has way more to lose, I think. Michigan has done better this season than they've done any previous season during the Harbaugh regime. But, I still think that Michigan has more to lose. Don't get me wrong, I want to win this game, and I'm not gonna love it if Iowa doesn't prevail. But, and by the way, let me just say this. I watched the Michigan-Ohio State game, or a fair amount of it. I was very impressed with Michigan. I hadn't really seen either of those teams play this year. But Michigan was the score. Let's put it this way: if you didn't watch that game, Michigan owned Ohio State in that game. There was zero doubt about it. They ran the ball down Iowa State's throat, and it was quite impressive. Actually, it was prototypical Big Ten smash mouth football, and Michigan was just way more powerful than Ohio State was, and Michigan's defense played pretty well too. Okay, so we're here in the Hawkeye State. Got to pick up in a little while over in Otumwa. Now, odds are, if you've ever heard of Otumwa, and you don't live in Iowa and you didn't have any reason to come here to pick up from JBS, you might only know the name Otumwa from the fictional character Walter Radar O'Reilly, Corporal, or then Sergeant later in the series, Radar O'Reilly in MASH. And by the way, that guy was played by Gary Berghoff, who is not from Iowa, but he also, I think, was the only guy that carried over from the MASH movie to the TV series. The only principal player, but Gary Berghoff was in both the movie and the series. And then I think he played Match Game PM for a number of years. But anyway, his fictional character, Radar O'Reilly, was from Otumwa, Iowa. Now, interestingly, Otumwa, Iowa in 1950 had about 8,000 more people than they do today. That was kind of like the height of their, maybe 1960, they had around 34,000. Around this now, they got about 25,000 people, but it's been slowly growing over the past few decades. But Otumwa, and this was interesting to me, because I've been to a lot of places in Iowa, and I think I'm kind of all about Iowa a lot of times. Otumwa was actually a stop on the 2016 RAGBRAI. But Otumwa was originally founded and became like a place because of coal. That's right. There was big time coal mining, and Otumwa basically straddles the Des Moines River. But there was big time coal mining in the area in basically Otumwa proper, what would be Otumwa proper now. And by 1914, they were pulling 100,000 tons of coal a year out of mines in the Otumwa area. Now, that was kind of the zenith of it, which, by the way, 1918 was the high point of coal miner employment in this country. Yeah, that's right. Coal miner employment, I don't care what Trump says, it's been going down since 1918. So, but there's still vast coal reserves near Otumwa. So if for some reason we ever run out of coal in, like, you know, the Powder River Valley and out towards Bill, Wyoming, or if we run out in West Virginia or, you know, Ohio or Kentucky or whatever, there's always Otumwa. So anyway, that's a little bit about where we are today. So I wanted to talk about trucking part-time. You know, I've seen these things. You know, as you know, I pay attention to, like, employment stuff and, you know, trends in the industry. And I keep hearing about, oh, well, people, you know, it's a blue collar job and it doesn't appeal to people, which, by the way, I think that's just reporters' wishful thinking, because all these reporters that are saying it probably make less than most truck drivers. And there are a lot of college educated people driving trucks, let's be candid. We all know some of them, right? But you wouldn't have to ask too many people at a truck stop to find somebody that went to college. Even if they didn't graduate, they certainly, you know, attended college or whatever. But here's another, you know, people talk about the lifestyle. And one of the things that I've talked about in previous videos has been, especially with the lease, is the ability to kind of control my schedule. And so what do I mean by working part-time? Well, you know, a lot of people have part-time jobs, but some of them have 2 or 3 part-time jobs just to survive. But what if I told you that you could have a job where you would make far more than the average American, and you could take 10 weeks a year off? And you could even take other days off, but you could take 10 straight weeks a year off. You would only have to work 42 weeks a year. What if I told you that? Would you be like, oh, that sounds like a pretty good job? Now, you would have to be away from home sometimes during that 42 weeks. But for example, the load we're getting, I am talking about trucking. The load we're getting is going to Monrovia, Maryland, which is just not very far from my home. Like, it's not even an hour away from my house. But we don't have to deliver till Thursday morning, so we got 2 drivers. We'll be there tomorrow night. And I just texted my wife. I'm like, hey, we'll be home for dinner, you know, and we'll park somewhere close, and then get a ride from her on her way to work on Thursday morning, go make our delivery, you know. So that's just, you know, one example. And then if I was running the Northeast, hell, I could be home probably, you know, I would guess 3 or 4 days a month, just like on overnighters, even if I never said, oh, take me off the road. I think my co-driver's phone is ringing, but he's actually in taking a shower, because we stopped. We were like, yeah, we got to get showers before we drive this load. But so, and here's why I think that what I'm saying is not far-fetched, right? So a few weeks back, I did a video on my first 6 months at Prime. Now, some of that time, most of the time I was solo, but I kind of broke out the weeks where I was training, where I had somebody else on the truck, where I had a co-driver, where we were running, you know, 20 hours a day or whatever. But I went back and looked at that video because I lost my sheet of paper, my little Kenworth Mid-Atlantic paper. Anyway, so what I said in there is over the first 26 weeks, right? First 26 weeks at Prime, mostly solo, sometimes team, the truck netted, meaning the LLC that leases this truck, netted an average of $1,927. Now, by the way, I made that video 3 weeks ago. I can tell you in the 3 weeks since, I've averaged net $3,500 per week. So this number, this 1927, is going to creep up. Now, most of that 3 weeks, I had somebody on the truck. I had Connie on the truck and stuff. But here's what I did. I was like, okay, 1927. I don't think I'm anomalous. I don't think I get better loads than other drivers. I don't even think I drive harder than a lot of other lease operators. I mean, I know a lot of lease operators. I think most people that lease at Prime are they're truck drivers, right? They get out on the road. They're not sitting around, La Boca Chica drinking a Mai Tai with an umbrella in it. I mean, they're running when they're running, and a lot of them stay out for 3 to 6 weeks at a time. But so here's what I did. I said, well, what if I wanted to take 10 weeks a year off? $1,927 per week net to the truck. If you only had 42 productive weeks, in other words, 42 weeks where you were turning in trip sheets, that would be $80,974 net to the truck, or net to your company, or net to you individually, right? Now, you'd have to pay taxes out of that. But if I said to you, hey, you can make almost $81,000 a year and have 10 weeks off, would that be a job that would interest you? I mean, just on the face of it, it sounds almost too good to be true. Now let's be candid, right? You're not going to make that money playing video games in your living room. You're not going to make that. Those 42 weeks, you're going to have to hustle. But how many people do you know that are hustling daily 52 weeks a year? They get 1 year of vacation after their first, year of service, right? I mean, think about it for a second. Is the lifestyle of a trucker that hard or that, disruptive that this wouldn't be something that would appeal to a lot of people? Because I think it would. I took 10 days off. When was it? I don't know, back in, I can't even remember. But it was, I had Connie, I took her home, and then I came home, and I was home for like 10 days. I think you probably remember when I did that. That was like 3-4 weeks ago or whatever. Well, I'm taking another 10 days off at the end of December, like into the new year. And I'm not concerned that I'm not going to have enough money, or we won't be able to buy Christmas presents or a turducken or whatever. And I like this, right? Like, this is like, even when I practiced law, it would have been very unusual for me to take 10 days in a row off and not like be on my phone, be sending emails. And that's the thing about a truck. You park this thing, you're done with work. Nobody calls you, nobody bothers you. Now, I know some people's like fleet managers will call them when they've, just to make sure that they're coming out on schedule. I get that, right? Because they're trying to plan. They're juggling a lot of balls. Now, if you said you want to be home for 10 days and they call you after 5 days and they're like, hey, when are you coming back out? Be like, dude, don't call me till my 10 days is up. But I never get that. And you shouldn't either if you're driving, because if I got to take a call from my fleet manager, it means I got to work. That's work to me. So anyway, think about this as a job that you could actually do part-time. And if you're willing to make less money, as long as those truck payments are getting made, right? And that's the key, right? As long as the truck payments getting made, but there are guys at Prime who have their trucks paid off. Man, they must be in Fat City. And I am going to get there at some point, trust me. And I will be very happy about that. But anyway, think about it. Think about what the possibilities are. But thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. And by the way, my trainee doesn't want to be on camera yet, and I'm going to respect that. And if he changes his mind, then that's when you'll get to meet him. So anyway, take care. Be safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.